starting with 1 million luck points. Chapter 46, Stone of Life. Soon, Commander Zhao brought the group of grandmasters to the hall. Students, it was the city's negligence that led to the disaster of Chu City High School. On behalf of the Huadong City, I hereby apologize to you. Commander Zhao bowed. Clap, clap, clap. Applause sounded in the auditorium. No one expected the high and mighty war prodigy of the Huadong City to apologize to them. The city will handle the casualties well. After speaking for a while, Commander Zhao left with the other grandmasters. The school leaders arranged for the teachers to let the students leave the hall in an orderly manner. For the next 3 to 4 days, the school was immersed in the mourning of the casualties. In addition, the corpses of the foreign races were being cleaned and the buildings were being repaired systematically. Yang Garden Residence. Zhou Hao, who was lying in bed, opened the virtual screen. Luck points, 67,200, current level, overwhelming luck. Nothing had changed. For the past few days, he had not been in the mood to leave the city to kill foreign races in the wilderness. Although the parents of the students who had died had received a lot of compensation, the pain of losing their children was still not relieved. Zhou Hao's parents had been glad that Zhou Hao was fine. For the past few days, they would get off work early every night because they were worried that something would happen to Zhou Hao when they went out. This made Zhou Hao not know whether to laugh or to cry. With his peak-level Grandmaster combat strength, how could he ever get hurt? It was more likely for him to hurt others. However, the city's security checks were indeed much stricter than before. There were patrols on every street. At 10:30 p.m., after sensing that his parents were asleep, Zhou Hao got out of his house and left Yang Garden Residence. It was impossible for him to stay at home forever. If he wanted to open a better item in the silver mystery box of the Heaven Dao software, he had to accumulate more luck points. The current 60,000 luck points was far from enough. Zhou Hao planned to accumulate at least 1 million luck points this time. After all, when he first opened the ordinary mystery box and obtained the Dragon Elephant Wisdom technique, he had used 1 million luck points. Now that it was a silver mystery box, the items inside were much better than ordinary mystery boxes. If he used the 1 million luck points, he believed that he could definitely get a better item. Moreover, he also wanted to level up and become a gold user to see if there would be any other changes to the mystery box. Swoosh. 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 Under the moonlight, Zhou Hao moved quickly and arrived at the southern station city defense line. Click. The black tortoise set turned into a red armor that covered his entire body. Just as he reached the metal door of the base, Battalion Commander Chu appeared. He looked at the red-armored Zhou Hao and said excitedly, "May I ask if you're the senior who killed the iron-toothed dragon alligator?" Zhou Hao did not hesitate and nodded. He had changed into red armor and was already prepared to be recognized. Of course, the reason why he did this was mainly because he wanted to borrow the strength of the military. After all, the wilderness area was too large. To accurately find some king-level demon beasts and insect beasts, he needed a map. Battalion Commander Chu hurriedly said, "Sir, there's something you should know. Commander Zhao ordered me to invite you to the East Station defense line if I encounter you." Zhou Hao was surprised. "Officer Zhao wants me to go to the East Station defense line? How come?" Zhou Hao respected Commander Zhao quite a bit after witnessing his performance in the school's auditorium. Battalion Commander Chu immediately explained the matter. It turned out that Commander Zhao had planned to work together with the other Grandmasters to conduct a cleanup operation in the wilderness. His main goal was to find and kill the hidden shadow insects. Zhou Hao suddenly understood. The reason why the foreign beasts that had attacked Chu City High School could hide from detection was mainly because of the shadow insects. If they did not get rid of them, the city would definitely continue to be attacked in the future. Sure. With that said, his figure disappeared from his original spot. Battalion Commander Chu smiled bitterly, thinking to himself that the senior was indeed swift and decisive. At the East Station defense line, Chief Zhao sensed Zhou Hao the moment he appeared. Swoosh! 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 7 to 8 figures, including Commander Zhao, flashed in front of Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao couldn't help but jump in fright. His senses were sharp, and he could naturally sense that these people's auras were incomparably powerful. They were definitely grandmasters. Commander Zhao laughed and said, "Sir, I've finally got to see you." "Yeah, it's not easy. After searching for 2 to 3 times, we finally got to see him in person." He Biao and the other grandmasters laughed and sighed. Zhou Hao was puzzled and asked curiously, "Commander Zhao, it sounds like you're quite familiar with me. Do you know me?" Commander Zhao explained the entire situation. Only then did Zhou Hao realize that this group of grandmasters had been following him ever since he killed the iron-toothed dragon alligator. They even knew that he had sold the materials. He couldn't help but feel lucky that he had left quickly. Otherwise, if he was recognized by these grandmasters, it would be very difficult for him to have peaceful days in the future. "Commander Zhao, I heard from Battalion Commander Chu that the city is preparing to conduct a cleanup operation. Please tell me the exact arrangements." Zhou Hao did not plan on chatting with these grandmasters and went straight to the point. After all, his true realm was only at the martial artist level. If he interacted with them too much, he would easily be exposed. Commander Zhao immediately said, "That's right. The foreign races are too arrogant. They actually attack the students in the city. If we don't teach them a lesson, they will definitely be even more unbridled. For this cleanup operation, I plan to split everyone into 4 groups. Each group will have 2 people and will be in charge of the 4 directions." At this point, he paused for a moment and continued, "Right, may I know your name?" "Just call me Old Zhou." "There's no need to be so polite," Zhou Hao said casually. Old Zhou," Commander Zhao said awkwardly as he wasn't used to it. "You and I won't be in any of the groups. Our mission is mainly to support the others. Of course, we can also move around freely when the other teams are not in danger." Zhou Hao pondered for a moment and nodded. "All right." The other grandmasters did not say a word. Clearly, they had long known of the plan. At this moment, Chief Zhao suddenly took out a green crystal stone. The crystal emitted a cool aura. A life stone. Suddenly, someone shouted. Chapter 47, Luck Points, Here I Come. "What? Commander Zhao, you actually have such a precious thing on you." Sensing the aura, President He and the others turned their gazes to the green crystal. Zhou Hao was puzzled as to what the life stone was, but he did not say anything. Commander Zhao stared at the life stone and said with a sigh, "I was lucky to obtain one when I was adventuring in the depths of the wilderness." President He and the others looked at Commander Zhao in envy. The life stone is extremely rare. Not only can it improve one's genes and increase one's lifespan, but it can also subtly increase one's control of the body. With it, one will definitely be able to reach peak level Grandmaster and even break through to a higher level. "Grandmaster," you couldn't help but say. Commander Zhao nodded. "That's right. It's precisely because I relied on the life stone that I slowly improved to a high-level Grandmaster. However, my potential has already reached its peak. It's very difficult for me to rely on the life stone to continue breaking through. I took it out as a reward for this cleanup operation." Upon hearing this, President He and the other Grandmasters were excited. "Commander Zhao, may I know how to obtain it?" a Grandmaster asked immediately. After all, there was only one life stone and they all wanted it. Commander Zhao smiled. "It's very simple. The cleanup operation will divide us into 4 teams. If you include me and Old Zhou, there will be a total of 6 groups. Whichever group cleans up the most shadow insects will receive the life stone. The other grandmasters heaved a sigh of relief when they heard this. In terms of numbers of foreign beasts they could kill, they were definitely inferior to Commander Zhao and Zhou Hao. But if it was killing shadow insects, things would be different. It had to be known that shadow insects were the most secretive type of insect beast in the insect race. Even the city's detection equipment was unable to detect them. The grandmasters could only barely detect a trace with their senses. Therefore, killing the shadow insects was similar to grinding stone. It relied on hard work and luck, and strength did not matter as much. I didn't know that the life stone could improve the body. Zhou Hao couldn't help but feel excited. His father's work environment was terrible and his body had been severely injured. Zhou Hao had always been worried about how to improve his father's body. Now, after finding out that the life stone had such a miraculous effect, he knew it would be able to help his father. Any objections? Commander Zhao looked around. No one said anything. All right, in that case, let's do it this way. In a while, I'll get the intelligence department to distribute a detailed map of the wilderness area to the screens on each of your arms. Everyone, establish a common channel to facilitate communication. Zhou Hao's black tortoise set was also equipped with technological equipment and was much more advanced than other armors. Therefore, Zhou Hao was not worried that he would not be able to connect to the channel. The channel was successfully established, and the detailed map was sent to the arm screen. Zhou Hao opened it and saw a dense map of the wilderness areas outside the city. Among them, general-level demons and insect beasts were marked with blue circles. King-level demon beasts and insect beasts were marked with red circles. There weren't any foreign beasts stronger than king-level demon beasts in the wilderness outside the Huadong city. Let's go now. The group soared into the sky one after another. The other battalion commanders at the eastern station defense line looked enviously. Area 217. This was a canyon area with extremely deep canyons. Waves of cold wind mixed with low roars were constantly emitted. Even ordinary grandmasters did not dare to approach. Especially in the middle of the night, there was not a single hunting team around. Boom. Zhou Hao landed here. There were a total of more than 200 regions in the wilderness area of the Huadong city. Among them, there were only 30+ regions with king-level demon beasts. Among them, the iron-toothed dragon alligator in the red swamp forest had already been killed by him. The area with king-level demon beasts closest to them was Area 217. Zhou Hao, who wanted to save time, naturally chose to travel to this canyon first. Luck points, here I come. He was in no hurry to find the shadow insects. After all, it was too difficult for him to find them. Swoosh. As he rushed down with an afterimage, the blood essence in his body emitted a bang. A powerful and terrifying pressure suddenly swept through the entire valley like a storm. Roar. A shocking roar immediately sounded from the darkness of the gorge. Zhou Hao could clearly sense the bloody aura of the king-level demon beasts that swept over from all directions. An intermediate king-level demon general, a four-winged shadow leopard. Although Zhou Hao did not see the shadow of the demon beast, his eyes narrowed. The four-winged shadow leopard was clearly a flying demon beast and was extremely fast. Usually, even high-level grandmasters like Commander Zhao did not dare to rashly provoke them. Unless a peak-level grandmaster was extremely fast, they were also unable to do anything to a four-winged shadow leopard. Rip. Suddenly, a sharp wind blade that contained cold-killing intent slashed through the air from the side, heading straight for Zhou Hao. I was waiting for you to take action. A smile appeared on Zhou Hao's face as he disappeared from his spot in the blink of an eye. Boom. When he appeared again, he had appeared in front of a huge monster. It was the four-winged shadow leopard. Sensing Zhou Hao's figure, the four-winged shadow leopard's wings slashed over like blades. However, Zhou Hao reacted in time. The blood essence in his body surged furiously, and the saber in his hand flashed with a cold light. The four-winged shadow leopard's wings were sliced apart as if it had been cut by laser. Swoosh! The four-winged shadow leopard roared in pain. It instinctively wanted to pull away from Zhou Hao, but it was stunned to see Zhou Hao suddenly appear in front of its head. Rip! The sharp saber beam carried a death aura as it sliced through everything in front of Zhou Hao. Chapter 48, High-Level Demon King 7. Tailed Cloud Mink. Translator, Atlas Studios. Boom. The nearly 500-meter tall four-winged shadow leopard's huge body smashed down heavily as the saber beam dissipated. Its cold eyes were still filled with fear. Even in death, it still did not understand how it had been insta-killed by its opponent in a single move. After all, it was an intermediate king level who was just as intelligent as humans and had ruled the wilderness area around Huadong City for decades. Zhou Hao put away his saber and landed on the ground. He grabbed the corpse of the four-winged shadow leopard and threw it into the spatial bag of the black tortoise set. Killing an intermediate king-level demon beast was nothing to him. After all, his king-level saber was indeed very sharp and allowed him to perfectly unleash the Shadow 7 sabers, causing his combat strength to almost reach the limit of a peak-level grandmaster. Zhou Hao habitually glanced at the virtual screen. Luck points, 147,200, current level, overwhelming luck. Not bad, an intermediate king-level demon beast actually gave me 80,000 luck points. His eyes lit up. Through the map, he learned that there were nearly 20 demon beasts that were at least at the intermediate king level in the wilderness outside the Huadong city. If he cleared all of them, his luck points would definitely reach more than 1 million. I'll keep going. In a good mood, he immediately rushed to the next area. As Zhou Hao crazily hunted, he visited area 231, 242, 273. In less than an hour, all the intermediate king-level demon beasts in the 5 areas were killed. Zhou Hao could have killed even more if not for having spent all of his time traveling. Roar! In the wilderness area west of Huadong City, the high-level demon king, seven-tailed cloud mink, who controlled many king-level demon beasts, quickly sensed that the auras of his powerful subordinates were disappearing. In shock and anger, it immediately let out deafening roars and gathered the other demon kings. The 4 teams that had separated heard the terrifying sound that was as loud as a storm. This noise. Not good. It's the seven-tailed cloud mink. It's summoning the other demon kings. Many grandmasters' expressions changed drastically. Although they did not know what had happened in the wilderness, they knew that once a large number of demon kings gathered, the demon kings would definitely attack Huadong City. After all, this had happened before. Almost at the same time, Commander Zhao's voice sounded quickly in the channel. All units, hurry to Area 301. Stop the seven-tailed cloud mink from summoning the other demon kings at all costs. Roger that. Roger that. One by one, the grandmasters responded. They all understood the urgency of the matter and immediately gave up on searching for the shadow insects and rushed to Area 301. In fact, they weren't even sure if they were able to handle a high king-level demon beast, the seven-tailed cloud mink. Even if they joined forces, it would be very difficult for them to defeat the seven-tailed cloud mink. Their lives might even be in danger. But at this moment, not a single one of the grandmasters retreated. Zhou Hao also heard the noise from the channel. He could not help but be puzzled. Why is the seven-tailed cloud mink summoning the other demon kings? However, despite being puzzled, he still immediately opened the map and followed the route to Area 301. However, his current location was a little far away from Area 301. Area 301. In the cold pool of Area 301. Wisps of mist floated around, and there was a large number of jade green leaves that were like lotuses growing in the middle of the pool. When Commander Zhao and the other grandmasters arrived, they saw the seven-tailed cloud mink standing at the top of the green leaves and roaring at the sky. It continued roaring loudly. As if it had sensed the auras of the Grand Masters that arrived first, the seven-tailed cloud mink stopped its furious roar and swept its blood-red eyes over coldly. Swoosh! Commander Zhao and the other two Grand Masters in He Baiao's group immediately felt their bodies being targeted by a terrifying aura. Wait! Commander Zhao did not act rashly. The seven-tailed cloud mink was a high-level demon king. It had a noble bloodline and extremely powerful combat strength. Not to mention a high-level Grandmaster, even a peak-level Grandmaster might not be its match if he went all out. Even if the three of them worked together, they would still only be sending themselves to their deaths. He Baiao and Grandmaster Yu had calm expressions, but they were extremely nervous deep down. Under normal circumstances, they wouldn't dare to come to Area 301. However, they didn't know what was wrong with the seven-tailed cloud mink today for it to be gathering the other demon kings. Commander Zhao, I'm afraid that this demon beast won't wait for us to gather with the other Grandmasters. He Baiao couldn't help but whisper into his ear mic. Commander Zhao nodded. I know. If we do end up fighting later, make sure to stick behind me. Don't get too far from me. Understood. He Baiao and Zhou Hao nodded heavily. Buzz. The three of them had just finished talking when the seven-tailed cloud mink attacked first as expected. Waves of vortexes suddenly swept up from the cold pool, and three ice-edged tentacles grew crazily from the vortex. In an extremely short period of time, they attacked Commander Zhao, He Baiao, and the others. Click. Commander Zhao and the other two did not dodge. Instead, they directly faced the ice-edged tentacles and shattered them with their sabers. Then, the three of them stood together with their backs against each other. Swoosh! Swoosh! The water surged, raising huge waves that condensed into a huge ice dragon. The ice dragon roared and swallowed Commander Zhao and the other two. Be careful! Commander Zhao was observant and noticed that the seven-tailed cloud mink in the middle of the pool had vanished. Although He Baiao and the Grandmaster Yu were vigilant, they were still too distracted by the sudden attack of the ice dragon. They had no time to care about anything else. Rumble! As the ice dragon wreaked havoc, the ground suddenly exploded. Then, the seven-tailed cloud mink's tails extended crazily like vines and swept towards Commander Zhao and the other two. Bang! 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 The three of them were swept away by the white tails. The ice dragon turned around and attacked Commander Zhao. All of you, quickly retreat! Commander Zhao roared. He could tell that the seven-tailed cloud mink was extremely intelligent and was trying to defeat them one by one. With their strength, He Baiao and Grandmaster Yu were no match for the seven-tailed cloud mink. In fact, they probably wouldn't even be able to last for dozens of breaths. The two Grandmasters turned around and fled, but the huge white tail behind them continued to slam down. President He, we're here. At this moment, two more Grandmasters rushed over. Seeing this situation, they hurriedly rushed forward to help. The four Grandmasters had to work together to barely resist the attack of the huge tails. However, as time passed, Commander Zhao gradually fell into a disadvantageous position as he was busy dealing with the assault of the ice dragon and the attack of the seven-tailed cloud mink's tails. He Baiao and the others saw Commander Zhao struggling and were concerned, but they were unable to help him. Chapter 49, Sorry I'm late. Boom! Commander Zhao was unable to dodge in time and was struck by one of the tails head-on. His body was sent flying like a kite with a broken string and he slammed into a rock. Hundreds of meters away. Pu! Commander Zhao spurted out blood as the armor on his body was shattered. Just a single collision had almost made him lose his combat strength. However, he still had to get back up and continue to distract. Otherwise, if the seven-tailed cloud mink attacked He Baiao and the others, the outcome would be very terrible. Commander Zhao took out a bottle of pills from the spatial bag attached to his armor and swallowed them all. The injuries to his broken ribs recovered in an instant. Come on, trash! He suddenly rushed out. "Commander Zhao!" He Biao and the others shouted, desperately trying to escape from the seven-tailed cloud mink's tails. Bang! Bang! Commander Zhao's body kept flying backward as his injuries became more and more serious. At this moment, Zhenhong's group as well as another group of grandmasters had finally arrived. When they saw Commander Zhao struggling, they rushed up regardless of their own safety. 3 of the grandmasters worked together to block the seven-tailed cloud mink's tails and the ice dragon's attack. As for Zhenhong, he immediately took out a medicinal pill and fed it to the nearly unconscious Commander Zhao. "Commander Zhao, hold on. Senior Zhou will be here soon." Zhenhong shouted anxiously to prevent Commander Zhao from losing consciousness. Commander Zhao picked up the saber with great difficulty and slashed his own body. Blood flowed, and the intense pain woke him up. Commander Zhao suddenly opened his eyes as he endured the intense pain. Zhenhong, we need to group up with He Biao and the others quickly. This is the only way for us to survive." Zhenhong nodded. He knew how powerful the seven-tailed cloud mink was. "Let's go." He roared and ran in the direction of He Biao and the others with Commander Zhao on his back. The other 3 grandmasters moved towards He Biao as they resisted. The 4 of them took nearly 4 minutes to cross the 500 meters distance and finally met up with He Biao and the others. Immediately, the 8 grandmasters worked together and slowly suppressed the seven-tailed cloud mink's monstrous aura. Chi! The seven-tailed cloud mink let out a strange roar. Waves of invisible energy shockwaves swept out. Commander Zhao hurriedly shouted, "This is an attack on our mental state. Activate the energy mask." Click. He Biao and the others reacted extremely quickly. A blue energy net immediately appeared on their masks, weakening the invisible energy shockwaves. Even so, they still felt dizzy. Rumble. At this moment, the surrounding air suddenly distorted, and black insects similar to spiders appeared. It's the shadow insects." He Biao and the others struggled free from their dizziness. When they saw these black spider-like insects, their faces turned pale. The shadow insects' attack power was not high. However, their speed was shocking. If the shadow insects attacked while they were busy dealing with the seven-tailed cloud mink, the shadow insects would undoubtedly be able to cause fatal damage to them. Swoosh! 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 The 6 shadow insects immediately attacked after appearing. Their spider legs seemed like illusions as they quickly rushed towards the white tails. Their sharp spider legs attacked and pierced towards He Biao and the other 8 grandmasters. Pu! 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 He Biao and the others were unable to resist at all and could only let the shadow insects pierce through their armor. "Persevere, all of you, persevere." Commander Zhao gritted his teeth and stood up. His saber cut off one spider leg after another, but there were too many. After cutting off one leg, another would appear. Ah! A Grandmaster's armor had more than 10 holes pierced through it. Large amounts of blood flowed out, and he roared repeatedly in pain, his face twisting. He Biao's situation was not much better. He slashed crazily and yelled, "Die, die! All of you bastards, die!" As he roared, his figure gradually struggled free. When Commander Zhao saw this, he shouted anxiously, "He Biao, come back." Zhenhong was vigilant and agile. His shoulders shook, and his armor flicked out a rope to tie He Biao and pull him back. However, the densely packed spider legs had already seized the opportunity to trap He Biao. Just as the sharp spider legs were about to pierce through He Biao's helmet and into his head, the other grandmasters struggled angrily as they tried to save He Biao. Commander Zhao also charged forward crazily. However, there were too many spider legs and the huge white tails were also waiting to strike. The 3 to 4 meters distance between He Biao and the other grandmasters was like a natural chasm. Chi! Chi! Sharp spider legs pierced out crazily, turning the hard helmet into a sieve. When Zhenhong and the others saw this, they all cried. They knew that He Biao was done for. Boom. However, at this critical moment, a violent and terrifying blood essence pressure swept over from afar. The surrounding air almost froze. The spider leg that was about to stab into He Biao's head suddenly stopped as if it was being forcefully pulled. Immediately after, sharp saber lights appeared. The huge white tails that surrounded He Biao and the others snapped. Zhou Hao, who was wearing his red armor, appeared in front of Commander Zhao and the others. Sorry I'm late. Chapter 50, Insta-kill. Commander Zhao and the others immediately cried tears of joy. Senior Zhou. It's Senior Zhou. Quick, Senior Zhou, save He Biao. Zhou Hao naturally saw He Biao's desperate situation. His figure flashed repeatedly, and his saber beam that looked like raindrops quickly cut off a large number of spider legs. The shadow insects fled in all directions in fear. They were extremely fast. Furthermore, Zhou Hao was still worried about Commander Zhao and the others, so he did not chase after them. Bang! He Biao fell to the ground. The other grandmasters also used their sabers to support their bodies. How are you guys doing? Are you guys alright? Zhou Hao took a step forward and stood in front of Commander Zhao and the others as he asked anxiously. Commander Zhao sighed heavily. This injury is nothing to us. We have to quickly stop the seven-tailed cloud mink and not let it summon other demon kings. Otherwise, it will be a huge disaster for the Huadong city. Don't worry, leave it to me. Zhou Hao stared at the seven-tailed cloud mink. The seven-tailed cloud mink's cold blood-red eyes also locked onto Zhou Hao. Human, you're like a tiny ant to me. Are you the one who killed my subordinates? A deep voice sounded from the seven-tailed cloud mink. Zhou Hao was stunned. This high-level demon king could actually speak. He sneered and said, if you're talking about the trash like the four-winged shadow leopard, then yes, I killed them. Roar. The seven-tailed cloud mink roared. You damn ant, you will pay a painful price. As soon as it finished speaking, its broken white tails grew out in the blink of an eye before sweeping crazily towards Zhou Hao. At this moment, Zhou Hao did not hold back either. After all, the opponent in front of him was a high-level demon king who ruled over the wilderness area around Huadong City. Boom! His blood essence surged, and the violent aura on his entire body exploded. It vaguely condensed into an ancient dragon elephant, and a monstrous pressure exploded in all directions like a storm and tsunami. Commander Zhao and the others behind him widened their eyes. This is the strength of a peak-level grandmaster. Too strong. Zhenhong and the others could not help but be in awe. The blood essence in their bodies had been suppressed at this moment. Die, you ant. The seven-tailed cloud mink also felt the shocking blood essence pressure. It roared towards the sky, and its 100-meter-tall body instantly expanded to more than 700 meters tall. It looked down at Zhou Hao like a giant. Its huge tails swept out crazily as they covered the sky. The cold water condensed into ice with cracking sounds before shattering. The shattered ice pieces quickly gathered at a visible speed. Zhou Hao glanced at him. Is this all you've got? As soon as he finished speaking, his figure suddenly vanished, and 7 figures suddenly flashed in front of the seven-tailed cloud mink. Shadow 7 sabers. Explode. The 7 figures gradually gathered into a saber beam. Slash. A cold voice sounded from Zhou Hao's mouth. It was as if the saber beam was the only thing left in the world. Before the seven-tailed cloud mink could react, it sensed a sharp and terrifying force that slashed through the air. At this moment, its fur and skull that was capable of withstanding a nuclear bomb shattered like an egg. Swoosh. Swoosh. A large number of huge ice dragons condensed from ice shards smashed down. The seven-tailed cloud mink's huge body that was 700 meters tall fell heavily, raising countless dust. Commander Zhao and the others were watching intently. Everyone was stunned. Am I hallucinating? Was that really the seven-tailed cloud mink? Quick, pinch me. I feel like I'm in a dream. Zhenhong and the other grandmasters, who had regained their senses, either rubbed their eyes or pinched their meat as they looked at the huge beast collapsing in front of them. After all, this was a seven-tailed cloud mink, a high-level demon king. It was an existence that had ruled the wilderness outside the Huadong city. In the past decades, no grandmaster had dared to provoke such an existence. Even a nuclear bomb could not destroy it. There was even a peak-level grandmaster who came and left in dejection. But today, this high-level demon king had died in its own lair. Most importantly, it had been insta-killed. If not for the fact that they had seen the entire process with their own eyes, Commander Zhao and the other grandmasters would definitely find it hard to believe that an expert could instantly kill the seven-tailed cloud mink. Even an invincible existence that surpassed the peak-level grandmaster might not be able to do it. After all, the seven-tailed cloud mink had a noble bloodline. Although it was a high-level demon king, its combat strength was close to that of an overlord-level demon emperor. Who? Zhou Hao recovered from his shock. The Grandmaster's opinions of Zhou Hao had also changed. They felt nothing but reverence towards him. After all, to be able to instantly kill the seven-tailed cloud mink, it meant that Zhou Hao's strength had probably already surpassed a peak-level Grandmaster. Zhou Hao, of course, did not know what Commander Zhao and the others were currently feeling. In fact, he had not even used his full strength to kill the seven-tailed cloud mink. However, he did gain a lot.